My name's Abigail, and I'm 29. I'm sitting on my porch in a quiet Ohio town, coffee in hand, staring at a faded photo from a decade ago. It's me, my sister Hannah, and our dad grinning at a county fair. That day felt like love could never break. But Hannah made a choice that shattered us. Her mismatched socks in the picture used to make me smile. Now they sting. How does trust vanish so fast? Have you ever lost someone you thought was forever? Share where you're watching from and hit subscribe if this hits home. Let's dive into this together. Rain drums against my apartment window, a steady rhythm that matches the ache in my chest. I'm 29, sprawled on my couch in this cramped Ohio place surrounded by a mess of old letters. They're from Hannah, my sister, who's now off in Chicago living a life I don't recognize. I pick up one letter dated 5 years ago, her handwriting still bold and loopy. My fingers trace the words hoping for answers, but it's just vague apologies. "I'm sorry I hurt you," she wrote. That's it. No explanation, no clarity. I lean back, closing my eyes, and let 2018 flood in. I was 22, juggling shifts at a coffee shop, steaming milk and forcing smiles for customers. Hannah was 27, my anchor, my best friend. We shared a tiny apartment, the kind with creaky floors and a leaky faucet we never fixed. Our evenings were magic, though. We'd bake together, flour dusting our cheeks, laughing as we tested recipes for the bakery we swore we'd open someday. Chocolate chip cookies, lemon tarts, blueberry muffins. We'd burn half the batch, but it didn't matter. Those nights felt like forever, but then Hannah started pulling away. It was subtle at first. She'd come home late, her phone buzzing with texts she wouldn't share. I'd catch her whispering on calls, stepping outside to talk. I'd ask who it was, and she'd shrug, saying it was just work. Work. Like I'd believe that. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine anymore, and that stung worse than the silence. One night I was wiping down the kitchen counter, the smell of vanilla still lingering from our latest baking attempt. Hannah walked in her coat, damp from the drizzle outside. She didn't say hi, just kicked off her boots and headed to her room. I followed, leaning against her doorframe. "You okay?" I asked, my voice soft, hoping she'd open up. She was sitting on her bed, texting, her fingers flying. "Yeah, fine," she snapped, not looking up. "You're too clingy, Abigail. I need space." Clingy. The word hit like a slap. I'd spent my life looking up to her, trusting her with every secret, every dream. I backed away, my throat tight, and went to my room. I sat on my bed, staring at the quilt our mom made before she passed when I was 10. I wanted to cry, but nothing came. Just this hollow feeling like I was losing her and didn't know why. Then Marcus showed up. I met him a week later when he came over, all charm and sharp smiles. He was from Hannah's office, some guy in his 30s with slick hair and a leather jacket that screamed money. He brought a bottle of red wine, the expensive kind, and told stories about his business deals, his voice loud and confident. I tried to like him for Hannah's sake, but something about him felt off, like he was selling us on himself. Hannah hung on his every word, laughing in a way I hadn't heard in months. I watched them from the couch, stirring my tea, feeling like an outsider in my own home. Later, when Marcus went to the bathroom, I caught Hannah in the kitchen refilling her glass. "Who is this guy?" I asked, keeping my voice low. She rolled her eyes. "Just a friend, Abigail. Stop being paranoid." But I wasn't paranoid. I heard Marcus that night, his voice muffled through the wall as they talked in her room. "We'll get what we deserve," he said, his tone sharp, like he was plotting something. I didn't catch the rest, but it left me uneasy, my stomach twisting as I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. The next morning, Hannah was different. She didn't mention Marcus, but she was distracted, checking her phone every 5 minutes. I tried to talk about our bakery plans, pulling out a notebook where we'd sketched logos and menu ideas. "Remember this?" I said, holding up a drawing of a cupcake with our initials. She barely glanced at it. "Yeah, cute," she muttered, then grabbed her bag and left. No explanation, no goodbye. I stood there, the notebook heavy in my hands, feeling the distance between us grow. Something was wrong, and I didn't know how to fix it. I thought about checking her phone just to see who she was texting, what she was hiding. It was right there on the counter screen, dark. My fingers itched to grab it, but I stopped myself. She's my sister, I thought. I have to trust her. But trust was starting to feel like a mistake. Weeks passed, and the silence between Hannah and me grew heavier. I was 22, still pouring coffee at the shop, my hands shaky from late nights worrying about her. Our apartment felt empty even when she was home. She'd breeze in, grab a snack, and vanish to her room, the door clicking shut like a wall between us. I stopped asking where she was going. Her answers were always vague, her tone sharp, like I was the one intruding. One evening I was folding laundry on the living room floor, the TV humming low with some cooking show. Hannah came home, her cheeks flushed, eyes bright in a way that didn't feel right. She dropped her purse on the counter and a receipt fluttered out. I picked it up just to hand it back, but the numbers caught my eye. $200 at a downtown bar. My stomach sank. We were scraping by splitting rent down to the penny, and she was dropping cash like that. "You went out?" I asked, holding up the receipt. My voice was calm, but my heart raced. She snatched it from me, her lips tight. "It's not your business, Abigail," she said, stuffing the receipt in her pocket. I stared at her, waiting for more, but she just turned away, grabbing a water bottle from the fridge. "Since when do we keep secrets?" I pressed, standing up, the laundry forgotten. She spun around, her eyes flashing. "Maybe I'm tired of you always in my space," she snapped. "I'm allowed to have a life." Her words cut deeper than before. I wanted to yell, to demand why she was shutting me out, but I froze, my hands clenching the edge of the couch. She didn't wait for me to respond. She stormed to her room, the slam of her door echoing in my ears. I sank back to the floor, the cooking show's cheerful host mocking the quiet that followed. The next day, Marcus came over again. I was in the kitchen chopping onions for dinner, the sting in my eyes matching the one in my chest. He strolled in behind Hannah, his cologne sharp and overpowering. "Got any beer?" he asked, opening my fridge like he owned it. I gritted my teeth, pointing to the sink where a six-pack sat. He grabbed one, popped the cap, and leaned against the counter, watching me. "Nice place," he said, smirking. "Cozy." I didn't answer, focusing on the knife in my hand. Hannah perched on a stool, scrolling her phone, ignoring me. Marcus kept talking, bragging about some deal he'd closed, tossing around words like investor and payout. I glanced at Hannah, hoping she'd see through him, but she just nodded, her smile forced. I couldn't take it. "So Marcus," I said, keeping my tone light, "what exactly do you do?" He paused, his eyes narrowing for a split second before he laughed. "Little bit of everything," he said. "Real estate consulting. Big money stuff." Hannah shot me a look like I'd crossed a line, but I held his gaze. "Sounds vague," I said, and went back to chopping. That night I couldn't sleep. I lay in bed, the glow of streetlights seeping through my blinds, replaying Marcus's words. Big money stuff. It didn't add up. Hannah wasn't naive, but she was slipping away, caught up in whatever he was selling. I thought about our bakery dream, the way we'd planned every detail from the glass display case to the chalkboard menu. We'd saved every spare dollar, stashing it in a joint account. That dream felt like it was slipping away too. The next morning I checked our savings account just to feel grounded, to remind myself we still had something solid. I logged in on my phone, expecting to see our usual balance, maybe a little interest. But the number was wrong. $500. My heart stopped. We'd had over $5,000 last month. I refreshed the page, thinking it was a glitch, but the balance stared back, mocking me. My hands shook as I scrolled through the transactions. There it was, a withdrawal, $4,500 transferred out 2 days ago. No note. No explanation. I called Hannah, my pulse pounding. She didn't pick up. I texted her, my fingers clumsy. "Where's our money?" No response. I paced the apartment, the walls closing in. That money was our future, our bakery, our promise to each other. I tried to think straight, to give her the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a mistake, a bank error. But deep down I knew. Marcus's voice echoed in my head, his talk of deals and payouts. Had she given it to him, I sat at the kitchen table staring at the empty chair where Hannah used to sit where we'd laugh and plan. The apartment was too quiet, the kind of quiet that screams something's broken. I wanted to confront her to demand answers, but she wasn't here. And the longer I waited, the more I felt it, the trust we'd built, the sister I'd leaned on, was slipping through my fingers like sand. 6 months later, I'm still in that same Ohio apartment, but it's not home anymore. I'm 23, drowning in bills that pile up on the kitchen counter like a paper avalanche. The fridge hums half empty and the air smells faintly of stale coffee. Hannah's been gone since she moved out with Marcus, leaving me to scrape by on my barista wages. Her texts are rare, one-word replies if I'm lucky. I keep calling, hoping she'll explain the missing $4,500, but she dodges me every time. Last week she mumbled something about an emergency and hung up. Emergency? Right. I'm sitting cross-legged on the floor sorting through mail when I decide to check our joint account again. Maybe she put the money back. Maybe it was all a mistake. My laptop screen glows in the dim room as I log in. The balance hasn't changed. $500. My chest tightens, a familiar ache that's become my shadow. I scroll through the account history, desperate for answers, and there it is, another withdrawal. $500 gone 3 days ago. The account is empty now. My hands shake as I slam the laptop shut. That was our dream, our bakery, every late night we spent planning, laughing, believing in each other. She took it all. I grab my phone and call her, pacing the living room. It rings, then goes to voicemail. Her cheery recorded voice feels like a mockery. I try again. Nothing. I text her, my thumbs smashing the screen. You took everything. How could you? I wait, staring at the screen, but no dots appear. No reply. I throw the phone onto the couch and sink to the floor, my back against the wall. Tears burn my eyes, but I don't let them fall. I'm too angry for that. Angry at her, at Marcus, at myself for trusting her. At work the next day, I'm a mess. I spill coffee on my apron, burn my hand on the steamer, and snap at a customer who complains about decaf. Tessa. My coworker pulls me aside during a lull. You look like you haven't slept in a week, she says, her voice gentle but firm. What's going on? I hesitate, my throat tight. Tessa's the kind of person who listens without judging, but I've never been good at opening up. Still, I need someone to hear me. I tell her about the money, about Hannah's betrayal, my voice low so the other baristas don't overhear. Tessa's eyes widen, but she doesn't interrupt. When I finish, she shakes her head. That's messed up, Abigail. You need to confront her, face to face. I know she's right, but the thought of seeing Hannah makes my stomach churn. What if she lies again? What if she doesn't care? I thank Tessa and promise to think about it, but deep down I'm scared. Scared of losing what little connection we have left. Scared of hearing the truth. That night I'm scrolling through social media trying to distract myself when I see Hannah's latest post. She's at some rooftop party in Chicago, her hair sleek, her dress shimmering under neon lights. Marcus is next to her, his arm around her waist, grinning like he owns the world. The caption reads, "Living our best life." My blood boils. Best life with our money. I zoom in on the photo, noticing her earrings, gold and dangling, probably worth more than my rent. I slam my phone down, my breath ragged. How dare she flaunt this while I'm eating instant noodles to survive? I dig through a box under my bed looking for something to ground me and find an old journal Hannah gave me when I was 16. It's leather-bound, a birthday gift from her. I flip through it, hoping to find a piece of the sister I knew. But instead I stumble on a page she wrote in years ago, back when we shared everything. Her handwriting is messy, raw. Abigail's always the favorite, it says. Dad looks at her like she's perfect. I'm just the screw-up. I stare at the words, my heart pounding. I never knew she felt this way. Dad loved us both, didn't he? But the journal doesn't lie. She's been carrying this resentment for years, and I was too blind to see it. Guilt creeps in, mixing with my anger. Did I do something to make her feel less? Was I too caught up in our dream to notice her pain? I close the journal, my hands trembling, and sit on my bed, the room spinning. I want to call her to ask why she never told me, but I can't. Not yet. Instead, I think about Dad, how he's been recovering from his heart attack, how fragile he's been. I could tell him about the money, about Hannah's lies, but the thought of stressing him out stops me cold. He doesn't deserve that. So I swallow the truth, let it choke me instead. The next morning, my phone buzzes. It's Hannah. My heart leaps, hoping she's ready to explain to fix this. I answer, my voice shaky. "Hey," I say, trying to sound calm. She doesn't apologize, doesn't mention the money. Instead, she says, "Abigail, I need a favor. Can you loan me $1,000? Just for a bit." I freeze, gripping the phone so hard my knuckles turn white. $1,000? After everything? "You're joking," I say, my voice low, dangerous. She sighs like I'm the one being unreasonable. "It's important," she says. "I'll pay you back." I laugh, a bitter sound that doesn't feel like mine. "You already took everything, Hannah." And I hang up my hands, shaking, my heart breaking all over again. I stand in my kitchen, the phone still warm in my hand, Hannah's voice echoing in my head. $1,000. The nerve of her asking for more after draining our savings. I'm 23 and the weight of her betrayal presses against my ribs, making it hard to breathe. The apartment is dark, the only light coming from a flickering bulb above the stove. I want to scream, to throw something, but instead I grip the counter, my nails digging into the chipped laminate. I keep seeing Dad's face, gray and crumpled, as we loaded him into the ambulance. Hannah was sobbing, clutching his hand, but I couldn't look at her. "This is on you," I wanted to say, but the words stuck in my throat. Now in this fluorescent purgatory, the silence between us is louder than any scream. I glance at her, hoping for remorse, for something human, but she's staring at the floor, lost in her own guilt. My phone buzzes, a text from Tessa. "Heard Marcus is being investigated for embezzlement. Be careful." I read it twice, my pulse racing. Embezzlement. It fits his flashy clothes, his vague deals, the way he's dragged Hannah into his world. I want to show her the text to shake her awake, but she's already broken her shoulders, shaking with quiet sobs. Marcus glances up, catching my eye, and winks. Actually winks like we're in on some joke. My blood runs cold. I stand, needing to move, to breathe, and pace to the vending machine, fumbling for change I don't have. The glass reflects my face, pale and hollow, a stranger's eyes staring back. I think about the $10,000 Dad gave Hannah, money he scraped together from his savings, who can't afford his meds some months. He thought he was helping her, thought she was building a future. And she let him believe it while Marcus bled us dry. The betrayal isn't just mine anymore. It's Dad's, our family's, everything we've held on to since Mom died. I turn back and Hannah's looking at me, her eyes red, pleading. "Abigail," she whispers, "I didn't mean for this." I open my mouth to respond, but Marcus cuts in, his voice sharp. "Save it, Hannah," he says, standing up, his phone pocketed. "She's not your sister anymore. She's just jealous." Jealous. The word lands like a slap, and I'm on him in a second, my voice low, venomous. Jealous of what I hiss. Your lies, your scams. You're a parasite, Marcus. He steps closer, towering over me, his smirk gone. "Careful, Abigail," he says, his voice icy. "You don't know what you're messing with." Hannah grabs his arm, pulling him back. "Stop it," she says, her voice cracking. "Just stop." But he shakes her off, his eyes locked on mine, daring me to push further. I want to, God, I want to, but a nurse steps in, her clipboard a shield. "Family only," she says, glancing at Marcus. He shrugs, sauntering to the door, but not before tossing me a look that says this isn't over. The nurse leads us to Dad's room, but I'm barely there, my mind spinning. Hannah's beside me, her breath hitching, but I can't comfort her. Not now. We reach Dad's bed, and he's awake, tubes snaking from his arm, his face etched with pain. He sees us and tries to smile, but it's weak, fading fast. "Abigail, Hannah," he rasps, his voice barely audible. "Don't fight. Please." His words break me, a plea from a man who's given us everything, who's lying here because of us. Hannah sobs, grabbing his hand, but I can't move. I'm staring at her, at the sister I don't know anymore, and the truth hits like a tidal wave. She's not just taken our money, our dreams. She's taken Dad's trust, his health, maybe his life. And she's still choosing Marcus, still defending him even now. I want to scream to tear this hospital apart, but I'm empty, my heart a hollow shell. All I can do is stand there watching Dad fade, knowing this moment has broken us beyond repair. I'm 24, back in my Ohio apartment, the dawn light creeping through the blinds. It's been a week since Dad's scare in the hospital, and he's stable now, resting at home with a nurse checking in. I'm on the couch, a mug of cold tea in my hands, staring at the wall where a crack spiders across the plaster. Hannah's staying at Dad's, avoiding me, and Marcus is still out there, his threat from the waiting room looping in my mind. I'm done being paralyzed by her choices, by his games. Today I'm taking control. I pull out my phone and reread Tessa's text about Marcus's embezzlement investigation. It's a lead, something solid. I need to know more to understand what Hannah's tangled in. I text Tessa asking if her lawyer friend can meet. She replies fast. Leo's free this afternoon. Coffee shop, 2 o'clock. My stomach flips, but it's not fear anymore. It's resolve, sharp and steady, like a blade I've been sharpening for months. I shower, pull on a sweater, and head out, the autumn air crisp against my face. The coffee shop is a few blocks away, its windows steamed from the morning rush. Tessa's already there, her dark curls tucked under a beanie, sitting with a guy in a flannel shirt. Leo, I presume. He's got kind eyes and a stack of papers spread across the table. I slide into the booth, my hands clammy. Thanks for meeting me, I say, my voice quieter than I mean it to be. Tessa squeezes my arm. You got this, she says. Leo leans forward, pushing his glasses up. I've been digging into Marcus, he says, his tone matter of fact. He's bad news. Embezzlement's just the start. He's been running shell companies, funneling money through fake investments. Your sister's name is on some of the paperwork. My heart sinks, but I'm not surprised. Hannah's always been impulsive, too quick to trust. I need to talk to her, I say, more to myself than to them. Leo nods. You should, but be careful. Marcus doesn't like loose ends. I leave the coffee shop with a folder of documents, Leo printed evidence of Marcus's scams. My mind races as I walk home, the folder heavy in my bag. I picture Hannah, her tear-streaked face in the hospital, her whispered, I didn't mean for this. She's in deep, but she's still my sister. I can't let her drown, even if she's the one who jumped in. I decide to go to her, to lay it all bare. No more dodging, no more lies. It's late afternoon when I drive to Chicago, the highway stretching gray and endless. Hannah's apartment is in a sleek building, all glass and steel, the kind of place our bakery money could never afford. I park, my hands gripping the wheel, and take a breath. I'm not here to fight. I'm here to pull her out. I buzz her apartment, and after a long pause, her voice crackles through the intercom. Abigail. What are you doing here? Let me up, I say, my tone firm. We need to talk. She buzzes me in, and I ride the elevator to the 10th floor, my reflection pale in the mirrored walls. Her door's cracked open when I reach it, and I step inside, the air thick with the scent of lavender candles. Hannah's alone, thank God, standing in the living room in sweatpants, her hair a messy bun. She looks exhausted, her eyes puffy like she hasn't slept in days. What do you want? She asks, crossing her arms, but her voice wavers like she's bracing for a blow. I set the folder on her coffee table, my hands steady. This is about Marcus, I say. He's a fraud, Hannah, and you're caught up in it. She flinches, her eyes darting to the folder, but she doesn't move. You don't know him, she says, her voice low, defensive. I step closer, keeping my tone even. I know enough. He's stealing from people, from us. That money you took, it's gone, isn't it? Funneled into his lies. Her face crumples and she sinks onto the couch, her hands covering her eyes. I didn't know, she whispers. Not at first. He said we'd make it back, that it was a sure thing. My heart aches, but I push forward, kneeling beside her. You need to get out, I say, before he drags you down with him. She shakes her head. tears slipping through her fingers. I can't, Abigail. I'm pregnant. His kid. The words hit like a freight train, stealing my breath. Pregnant. I stare at her, my mind reeling, the room tilting. She's tied to him now in a way I can't untangle. I want to hug her, to yell, to fix this, but I'm rooted to the spot, the folder between us like a line we can't cross. You don't have to stay, I say finally, my voice trembling but fierce. You're stronger than this. She looks at me, her eyes raw, and for the first time I see a flicker of the sister I used to know, the one who'd fight for me, for us. Hannah's words hang in the air, heavy as the lavender scent in her Chicago apartment. Pregnant. I'm 24, kneeling by her couch, my hands gripping the edge of the coffee table. Her eyes are wet, searching mine, and I see fear there, but also something else, shame maybe, or a plea for me to understand. I want to shake her, to demand why she let Marcus pull her so far from us, but I swallow it. She's my sister, and she's drowning. I'm not leaving her here. I stand, my legs shaky, and pick up the folder of Leo's documents. You need to see this, I say, my voice calm but unyielding. I spread the papers across the table, pointing to highlighted lines. Bank transfers, fake company names, Marcus's signature scrawled next to hers. This is what he's doing, Hannah. He's not just taking our money. He's breaking the law, and you're on the hook too. She stares at the pages, her breath hitching, but she doesn't push them away. Good. She's listening. I sit beside her, close enough to feel her trembling. You don't owe him anything, I say. Not your loyalty, not your future. You're going to be a mom. That kid deserves better than this. Her hand moves to her stomach, a small instinctive gesture, and I know I've hit something real. I keep going, my words steady, like I'm building a bridge out of this mess. Come home with me, I say. Just for now. We'll figure it out together. You, me, and Dad. Like before. She shakes her head, her voice barely a whisper. He'll find me, Abigail. He always does. My stomach twists, imagining Marcus's cold smirk, his threat in the hospital. I lean closer, my hand on her arm. He won't, I say, and I mean it. I'm here. I'm not letting him near you. She looks at me, her eyes wide, like she's seeing me for the first time in years. Really? She asks, her voice small, like a kid's. Really, I say. And something shifts inside me, a strength I didn't know I had. We start packing. I move fast, grabbing a duffel bag from her closet, stuffing it with clothes, her toothbrush. A photo of us from Dad's last birthday. Hannah's slow, hesitant, like she's waiting for Marcus to burst through the door. I keep her focused, handing her socks, a sweater, talking about nothing, weather, traffic, anything to keep her grounded. My heart's racing, but I don't show it. I'm the steady one now, the one who doesn't break. I find a notebook on her nightstand, its pages filled with her handwriting. I don't read it, but I slip it into the bag. You'll want this, I say, and she nods, her eyes distant. We're almost done when she stops, clutching a pair of baby booties, tiny and blue, knitted by someone I don't know. I can't do this alone, she says, her voice cracking. I take the booties, tucking them into the bag. You're not alone, I say. Not anymore. We leave the apartment, the hallway quiet, the elevator humming as we descend. Outside, the Chicago night is sharp, the city lights blurring as I lead her to my car. She's silent, clutching the duffel, her steps heavy. I glance at her, checking for doubt, but her jaw is set, her eyes fixed ahead. She's coming with me, and that's enough for now. I start the engine, the radio off, the only sound our breathing and the hum of the road. As we hit the highway, I call Tessa, keeping my voice low. Hannah's with me, I say. We're heading home. Tessa exhales, relieved. Leo's working on the legal stuff, she says. Marcus won't know where to look. I thank her, my throat tight, and hang up. I think about Leo, about the charges piling up against Marcus, about the money we'll never get back. It hurts, but it's not the point anymore. The point is her sitting beside me, her hand resting on her stomach. I glance at Hannah, her face pale in the dashboard light. She's staring out the window, the city fading behind us. I want to ask her everything, why she trusted him, how she lost herself, but I don't. Not yet. Instead, I reach over my hand, finding hers. She doesn't pull away, and that's enough. The road stretches ahead, dark and endless, but I'm not afraid. For the first time in years, I'm the one steering, and I'm not letting go. I pull into a gas station, the neon sign buzzing above us. Hannah's asleep, her head against the window, the duffel at her feet. I step out, the night air cool, and lean against the car, watching the stars prick the sky. My chest feels lighter, not free but unburdened, like I've shed something heavy. I made a choice tonight, not just for her but for me. I'm done waiting for her to save us. I'm saving us now. I fill the tank, the pump clicking softly, and slip back into the car. Hannah stirs, her eyes fluttering open. Abigail, she murmurs, her voice thick with sleep. I'm here, I say and start the engine. She nods, closing her eyes again, and I drive on the road, a promise I'm finally ready to keep. The afternoon sun cuts through the blinds, casting stripes across the apartment floor. I'm 25, standing at the stove, stirring a pot of soup, the steam rising in lazy curls. Hannah's at the table, feeding Lily mashed peas, her movements mechanical. The silence between us is thick, broken only by Lily's soft coos and the clink of the spoon. Marcus's arrest should have changed things, should have lifted the weight, but it's only made the air heavier, like we're both waiting for something to break. I glance at Hannah, hoping to catch her eye, but she's focused on Lily, her face a mask. I want to ask if she's okay, if she's processing what happened, but I don't. I'm tired of asking questions she won't answer. Instead, I turn back to the soup, my hands moving on autopilot, chopping carrots I forgot to add. The knife slips, nicking my finger, and I curse under my breath, grabbing a paper towel. Hannah doesn't look up. My phone buzzes on the counter, a voicemail from Dad. I play it on speaker, keeping my voice low. His voice crackles through, warm but strained. Abigail, Hannah, just checking in. Lily's birthday's coming up. Let's do something special, yeah. Love you both. The message ends and I stare at the phone, my chest aching. He's trying so hard, always the peacemaker, but his forgiveness for Hannah feels like a betrayal of its own. I haven't told him about the $10,000 she took from him, and I don't know if I ever will. He's happy healing, and I can't take that from him. Hannah wipes Lily's chin, her hands steady, but I see the tremor in her fingers. She heard Dad's voice and it hit her. I can tell. You going to call him back, I ask, keeping my tone neutral. She nods barely, her eyes fixed on the table. Yeah, she says, her voice flat. Later. Later. Always later with her. I turn off the stove, the soup simmering, and lean against the counter, watching her. She's here physically, but she's miles away, locked in her own head. I think about the letter that came yesterday, not the tax notice, but one that arrived after, slipped under the door like a secret. It was from Marcus, scrawled from jail, his handwriting sharp and jagged. You think you've won, Abigail, it said. I'll be out soon. Tell Hannah she's mine. I burned it in the sink, watching the paper curl and blacken, but his words are seared in my mind. I haven't told Hannah, haven't told anyone. She's fragile enough, and Lily's too young to live in fear. But it's there, a shadow I can't shake, making me check the locks twice at night. I start therapy next week. Something I never thought I'd do. The idea came from a flyer at work, tucked under a stack of napkins. Free sessions, community center, no judgment. I signed up on impulse, needing somewhere to put this anger, this guilt, this love I still have for Hannah despite everything. I haven't told her about it. I don't know why. Maybe I'm afraid she'll see it as weakness, or maybe I just want something that's mine. Lily fusses, and Hannah lifts her, cradling her against her shoulder. I watch my throat tight as she rocks the baby, murmuring softly. Lily's eyes wide and blue lock onto her mom, and for a moment Hannah looks alive, present. I want to hold on to that image, but it slips away as she sets Lily back down, her face closing off again. I want to reach across the table to pull her back, but I don't know how. There's a new guy at work, Nathan, who's been hanging around my shifts. He's quiet with a crooked smile and a habit of leaving pastry recipes scribbled on napkins. Yesterday, he slipped one into my apron pocket, a recipe for lavender scones, his handwriting neat and careful. I kept it tucked into my drawer at home. It's silly, But it felt like a spark, a reminder that there's a world beyond this apartment, beyond Hannah's silence and Marcus's shadow. I'm not ready for it, not yet, but it's there waiting. I ladle soup into bowls, setting one in front of Hannah. She murmurs thanks but doesn't eat, just stares at the steam rising. Lily's asleep now, her crib a soft anchor in the corner. I sit across from Hannah, the table small but vast, and take a spoonful of soup, the taste bland despite the hours I spent on it. We're safe, I tell myself. Marcus is gone. Lily's here, Dad's okay. But it doesn't feel true. The cost of saving Hannah was losing her not to Marcus, but to this quiet, broken version of herself. I look at her, really look, and see the lines around her eyes, the weight she carries. I want to fix it to make her laugh like she used to, but I'm empty, my strength drained. The soup grows cold. The room grows still, and all I can do is sit there across from my sister, wondering if we'll ever find our way back to each other. I'm 27, walking through a park near my Ohio apartment, the spring air warm with the scent of blooming lilacs. It's 2023, and I'm pushing Lily's stroller, her tiny hands clutching a stuffed bunny. Hannah's beside me, her steps slow but steady, a canvas bag slung over her shoulder. The park is alive with kids laughing, dogs chasing frisbees, and I feel a quiet I haven't known in years. Not peace, not yet, but something close, like the world's finally stopped spinning so fast. Lily babbles, pointing at a squirrel darting up a tree, and I smile, adjusting her sun hat. She's 2 now, all curls and curiosity, and watching her feels like a tether to something good. Hannah glances at her daughter, her eyes softening, and I catch a glimpse of the sister I used to know, the one who'd make silly faces to cheer me up. We don't talk about Marcus or the money or the years we lost. Not today. Today's for breathing, for being here. I've been taking a baking course at the community college, a 6-month program I stumbled into after Nathan, my coworker, slipped a flyer under my coffee shop apron. He's been a quiet presence, always leaving little notes about recipes or tips for kneading dough. The course is practical, hands-on, and I love it, the feel of flour under my nails, the way yeast rises like a promise. I'm good at it too, better than I expected. Last week I made a rosemary focaccia that earned a nod from the instructor, a gruff woman who rarely praises. It felt like a win, small but mine. Hannah's working now part-time at a bookstore, shelving novels and ringing up customers. She started a month ago, nervous at first, but she's finding her rhythm. She told me yesterday about a regular, an old man who buys poetry and always tips her with a quarter. She laughed when she said it, a real laugh, and I realized I hadn't heard that sound in too long. It's not the bakery we dreamed of, but it's something a step toward her standing on her own. We stop at a bench and I park the stroller, handing Lily a sippy cup. Hannah sits pulling a water bottle from her bag, and we watch the park hum around us. I think about the therapy sessions I've been attending twice a month in a small room with a counselor named Joyce. She's got a voice like warm honey and asks questions that cut deep. Last session we talked about forgiveness, not just for Hannah, but for myself. I've been carrying guilt, blaming myself for not seeing Hannah's pain sooner, for not stopping Marcus before he took so much. Joyce said guilt's a heavy load, and I'm learning to set it down piece by piece. I glance at Hannah, her profile sharp against the green of the trees. She's different now, quieter, but there's a strength in her I didn't expect. She's been going to a support group, she told me last week, for single moms. She doesn't say much about it, but I see it in the way she carries herself, a little taller, a little less afraid. I want to tell her I'm proud, but the words feel too big too soon. Instead, I nudge her shoulder. Lily's got your eyes, I say, nodding at the toddler. Hannah smiles, small but real. Yeah, she does. I think about Nathan's invitation to the baking competition, the one I've been dodging. He left another note at work yesterday, tucked into my locker, just a time and place, no pressure. I kept it folded in my pocket, and I'm starting to think I might go. Not for the prize, but for me, for the part of myself I'm rediscovering, the one who loves creating something from nothing. There's something else, too, in the way he looks at me, a warmth that makes my stomach flip. I'm not sure what to do with it, not after everything, but I'm not pushing it away anymore. Tessa came by last week, her arms full of pastries from the coffee shop, a peace offering after a long shift. We sat on the couch, Lily asleep between us, and she told me she finally cut ties with her toxic friend, the one who drained her for years. "I did it for me," she said, her voice firm. "You showed me how." I didn't know what to say, so I just hugged her, feeling a pride I hadn't earned but carried anyway. She's part of this new life, this patchwork of people who've held me up when I couldn't stand. Hannah kneels by the stroller adjusting Lily's shoe, and I watch my hands in my pockets. We talked last night, really talked for the first time since she came back. She apologized, not with the rushed guilt of before, but with a clarity that cut deep. "I was jealous," she said, her voice steady. "Of you, of how easy you made it look. I wanted to be enough." I listened, my throat tight, and told her I never saw it, never meant to make her feel less. I forgave her, not all at once, but enough to start. It's not a clean slate, but it's a beginning. We start walking again, the path curving toward the park's edge where wildflowers spill over the grass. I think about Joyce, my therapist, and something she said last session. "Healing's not linear," she told me. "It's a spiral circling back but moving forward." I feel that now in the way I can look at Hannah and see my sister, not just the pain. I'm not the girl who lost everything anymore. I'm the one who's building something new, one careful step at a time. I'm 29, back on my porch in this quiet Ohio town, the summer morning soft with the hum of cicadas. It's 2025 and I'm sipping tea, the mug warm in my hands as I watch the street wake up. A neighbor waves her dog, tugging at its leash, and I nod back, feeling anchored like I belong here again. Lily's laughter drifts from inside, where Hannah's teaching her to stack blocks, their voices a gentle rhythm that fills the house. It's not perfect, but it's ours, a life we've carved out from the wreckage. The baking competition is tomorrow, a small town event with folding tables and local judges. I'm entering my pecan tarts, a recipe I've tweaked for months, balancing sweet and salt until it feels like mine. Nathan's been my taste tester, his quiet encouragement steadying me. He's more than a coworker now, his hand brushing mine at work, his smile a question I'm starting to answer. We're not rushing, just letting it unfold like dough rising slow and sure. I've been working at the coffee shop, less picking up shifts at a local bakery instead, learning the rhythm of early mornings and warm ovens. The owner, a woman named Diane with flour-dusted aprons, says I've got a knack for it. Last week she let me design a display case arranging scones and cookies in neat rows, and I felt a spark, the kind I used to feel planning with Hannah. The bakery dream's alive again, different now, but real. I've been saving not much, but enough to feel possible. Hannah's changed too. She's full-time at the bookstore now, her confidence growing with every shift. She comes home with stories like the kid who asked her to read a picture book aloud, or the coworker who keeps stealing her pens. She's softer, less guarded, and sometimes when we're washing dishes together, she hums a habit I'd forgotten she had. Lily's her anchor, her reason to keep going, and I see it in the way she braids her daughter's hair, patient and careful. Dad visited last month, his steps slow but his eyes bright. He brought a wooden train for Lily carved by hand and sat with us on the porch telling stories about his old fishing trips. He didn't mention the money Hannah took or the hospital, and neither did we. It's not forgiveness, not exactly, but a choice to let the past rest. He hugged us both before he left, his arms stronger than I expected, and I held on a little longer, feeling the weight of what we've kept. I stand brushing crumbs from my lap and step inside. The living room is cluttered with toys, a coloring book open on the floor, Lily's crayons scattered like confetti. I pick one up, a stub of red, and tuck it into the box. There's a photo on the mantel, one I framed last week, of me, Hannah, and Dad at a park, Lily perched on his shoulders. It's not the old county fair picture, not a memory of what was, but a new one, proof of what we're building. I think about therapy, how Joyce has been teaching me to name my feelings, to let them pass without swallowing me. Last session I talked about the anger I carried, how it used to burn so hot I couldn't see past it. Now it's quieter, a flicker instead of a flame. I'm learning to hold space for both the love I have for Hannah, the hurt she caused. It's not easy, but it's honest, and that's enough for now. Nathan's coming over later to help me practice for the competition. He's bringing his mom's old tart pan, a loan he offered, with a shy grin. I'm nervous not about winning, but about showing up, about letting myself want something again. I glance at the kitchen where my tarts are cooling, their edges golden, the pecans glossy. They're not perfect, but they're mine, made with hands that have learned to carry both loss and hope. I sit on the couch, Lily climbing into my lap, her fingers sticky with jam. Hannah looks over, smiling, and for a moment we're just sisters, not the broken pieces of before. The morning stretches out calm and warm, and I let myself breathe, let myself feel the quiet strength of this new life we're making, one small, steady step at a time. The baking competition is over, and I'm back on my porch, the Ohio evening wrapping around me like a soft shawl. I'm 29, holding a small trophy, second place. It's weight light but solid in my hands. The pecan tarts didn't win, but the judges' nods and Nathan's proud grin felt like enough. Hannah and Lily were there, cheering from the crowd, Lily waving a tiny flag Hannah made from construction paper. That image, their faces bright with hope, is worth more than any prize. We're opening a bakery soon, Hannah and I, in a storefront down the street. It's small with chipped paint and a finicky oven, but it's ours. We got a grant from the competition, just enough to cover the lease, and we're saving for the rest. Hannah's designing the menu, her sketches neat and bold, while I handle the recipes. We work late, planning over coffee, our laughter mingling with Lily's sleepy murmurs from her playpen. It's not the grand dream we had at 22, but it's real, built on what we've learned, not what we lost. Nathan's part of this, now not just a spark, but a steady presence. We're dating, taking it slow, sharing quiet dinners and long walks. Last week he helped me paint the bakery's walls a soft cream that catches the morning light. He didn't say much, just handed me a brush and worked beside me, his shoulder warm against mine. I'm learning to let someone in to trust without bracing for a fall. It's new and it's scary, but it's good. Tessa's a regular at the coffee shop still, but she's planning to visit the bakery when it opens. She brought me a plant last week, a tiny fern for the counter, saying it's for luck. I laughed, but I set it by the window, its green leaves a reminder of the people who've stayed, who've helped me rebuild. Dad's coming to the opening, too promising to bring his famous blueberry pie recipe. His health's better, his smile wider, and when he talks about Lily, his voice glows with pride. I think about the years behind us, the pain that carved its way through our family, Hannah's choices, Marcus's lies, the money we'll never see again. They left scars, deep ones, but they don't define us anymore. In therapy, Joyce taught me to see the spiral, how we circle back to hurt, but keep moving forward. I've learned that love doesn't mean ignoring the pain. It means choosing to hold it alongside the good, to keep showing up even when it's hard. I walk inside, setting the trophy on a shelf next to Lily's drawings, their colors bright against the wood. The house is quiet now, Hannah and Lily asleep upstairs, the air warm with the scent of tomorrow's bread dough rising. I pause by the window, looking out at the street, the world soft and still. I'm not the girl who begged her sister to come back, or the one who burned with anger. I'm someone who's learned to forgive, not because it's noble, but because it's freedom. Freedom to love Hannah, to love myself, to build a life that's mine. What's a moment that set you free from a hurt you carried? Share it below if you want. We're all healing one story at a time. If this resonated, hit like or subscribe to join me on this journey. Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Thank you for listening, for being here. Here's to finding our way slow and steady together.